How's everybody doing out there? This is the Cool Club. I'm Super Solid, and let's get into this video. I want to rate and compare the Street Fighter characters, the Street Fighter cast that is in the upcoming film, and the Street Fighter cast that was from the 90s. Let's go ahead and start with the obvious. The first one is Guile. There was really nobody better in martial arts. As far as playing cool martial arts characters as Van Damme, like at one point in time. In the 90s, Van Damme was everywhere. Like when you thought about cool martial artists, Van Damme was at the top of the list. They just didn't give him the hair for some reason, and they say he was coked up at the time. So you got a coked up Van Damme on set. They couldn't pull off the hair, but yet and still, Van Damme, you can't really go wrong with him. I have to give him that. Now, Cody Rhodes isn't he's a pro wrestler. He's not a seasoned martial artist. So a lot of his moves are going to be, but he can choreograph a fight. But some of his moves are not going to look as fluid as Van Damme's. They may have to use more stand-in actors or more CG or something like that, more special effects, wiring. But at least he has the hair. So I'm not gonna I'm gonna say though still that Van Damme was better. Just because it's Van Damme. Now we got Chun-Li. The lady who played Chun-Li in the 90s, I didn't know who she was. I don't know what other film she was in. And I guess the same goes for this woman here who's playing Chun-Li. Those two are a tie, if you ask me. I mean, the Chun-Li we have now is good, and I don't have a problem with it. Next up, we have fan favorites Ryu and Ken. The first Ken in the 90s, that guy looked like just some guy you picked up off Wall Street. He didn't even look like he was a fighter. He wasn't in great shape for the role. Just some average looking white guy. I think this Ken is 10 times better. Um, he pulls it off. They gave him the hair. He's big enough. He's more athletic. I can get behind the Ken of the new film. 10 times better than the old Ken. Ryu, this guy who plays Ryu, he's been in a lot of martial arts films. He was in that show um, that was set, and it was a timepiece where it was set back, and I forget the times it was set in, but it was a good show. And I think he's gonna be a great Ryu, and much better than the old one. The old guy, I didn't even know what he played in. Again, he was just, they didn't have many generic. They just had some generic Asian guy. I'm sure he was in some things where he did karate. He might even study martial arts, but he didn't have any acting prowess. I guess the film thought that they didn't really need that from him. But Ryu was one of the most important characters in Street Fighter. But the 90s film centered more around Guile and Chun-Li. But yeah, I think so. The new actor is definitely 10 times better. Now we get to Zangief and E. Honda. Don't get me wrong, the actors who played those characters in the 90s were actually pretty good. Those were some of the most spot on casting choices that that movie had. The guy who played E. Honda he was in, I think, Necessary Roughness. He was in a bunch of other films. And we knew, him as a big, strong, powerful guy. That's what he played in the other films. He has acting chops. The guy who played Zangief was Latimer in the program. And he played, a big guy, steroid freaking. Played those roles, and he has range as an actor. So those casting choices in the 90s were great. The Zangief we have now, that guy's a freak of nature. He's huge. So I give it to him. They picked the right person. I say those that out of Latimer, he's better than Latimer. If Latimer was a 9, I say this Zangief, casting choice is a 10. But we'll see how he pulls it off acting wise. I mean, Zang, he doesn't have to do much. Now, E Honda, I don't know. The jury is out on how the new actor plays this role, because E Honda, like I said, that was a perfect casting choice. So right now, I'll just give that a tie. Next, we have Cammy and Vega. I would say the actress who played Cammy in the 90s, that was Cammy. She was actually British, I think. She had the accent down. If they had it in modern times, she would be perfect for the role. She's just too old right now. I think she's better than Mel Jansen, but I have to see Mel in the role. But she just doesn't. The '90s actress looked the part more. Same with Vega. Like Vega, that guy was Vega from the '90s. Cause Vega don't have to talk. He doesn't talk much. He didn't have to act much. That guy looked the part to the T. You understand? And Orville Peck, he looks a little more. He doesn't look as in shape as this guy. And I don't. And that guy may have studied different type of martial arts or fighting, or different, even any dance art forms he may have studied, because the dude was very fluid. His movements looked believable. He was visceral. And I liked that character. That was one of my favorite characters of that '90s movie. Orville Peck has to fill that void. Um, Hopefully, he comes out like this guy Orville Peck always hides behind a mask. That is, a reason why they chose him. Hopefully, he looks more. He gets, in better. He's in better shape than I think from just looking at this picture, and he does a great job. But I'll say right now, those two, the '90s characters, were better from just looking right now. Now we're getting into the doghouse. Dowsing. That night, the new character is just is 100 times better. That Dalsim was the worst casting choice that they could have ever chosen in the '90s. They didn't even choose a fighter. Dalsim is a skilled fighter, master of the yoga flame. He basically trained with Ryu and Ken at one time. This man is not some flabby sick doctor. Like, they just couldn't find an Indian actor at the time, and they just tossed this man in here. It was a horrible casting choice in the '90s. This one here, they at least gave him a chance. 100 times better. Balrog, 10 times better. Look at 50 Cent. 50 Cent actually trained in boxing. He was a skilled boxer. 50 and Balrog was a thug. So 50 Cent fits the mold perfectly. And he got in better shape. 10 times better shape than this guy that we looking at right here. That guy didn't even get the haircut right. So, of course, new movie gets the win on this one. Lastly, that brings us to one of the most polarizing characters and one of the worst casting choices, again, in the film. 1990s Blanca was trash. Look at this guy. They painted on the orange on his chest. This man look like he ain't even lifted no weights in his life. Blanca was supposed to be a genetic, beefed up super soldier. This dude wasn't even in better shape than Guile. Van Damme was in better shape than the guy who was supposed to be the beefed up character. He should have been He should have been just a little under Zangief's muscularity. Look at Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa, they have sense enough to use practical and CG effects. That's what you had to do. I know they didn't have that at the time, but get Lou Ferrigno or somebody. New casting, 10 times better. 100 times better. M. Bison. Raul Julia may have looked like, he wasn't fit or big enough to play M. Bison, the character. But one thing he did is he brought his A game to that movie. He was the best actor in Street Fighter in the '90s. Everybody else in that movie, even Van Damme, barely, do what his little 1-2 stick. But Raul Julia came to play when it came to that film. They say that was that was his last film, and he had a young son and a grandson that he wanted, to do something for. They of course knew about Street Fighter, like Street Fighter, and he wanted to put, give them something that they could see of him portraying one of those characters, and he did a great job playing M. Bison. I still remember that those lines he had. Like he said, Satan fell from heaven like lightning, and he was doing the Psycho Crusher. Man, yeah, he made that role his own. Now, the guy who played Polka Dot Man is gonna play the new M. Bison. He has to. They should have beefed him up a lot more. Like I still wish they would have got went a bigger route this time with a bigger character, more in shape character. But hopefully he brings some type of, he pulls a Bill Skarsgård like he did with It, and tries to do something to make this role his own. Like, or they just, you know don't even give him a big role, because I don't see how, if you're not gonna make him bigger, I don't see why you would get Polka Dot Man. Like, I just don't get it. But we'll see, man. Like I said, on that casting choice, I definitely say Raul Julia was better. 1990s Street Fighter got that. I wish, Lord rest his soul, man. I wish that man was still here. Like, he did a great job. Like, we need somebody to come with those, because this is M. Bison. This is the main villain. If you want to see how M. Bison formidable he should be, the best thing you should watch is that Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. M. Bison took on Ryu and Ken at the same time. You also can look at the show, the anime, the Street Fighter animated show series, man. M. Bison is no joke. So hopefully Polka Dot Man understands, what comes with this role, and, you know, they do something great with it. But so I just gave you my opinions on who was better in the casting choices. Some people in the 90s, some of these new casting choices are just 100 times better. Like, and that is what it is. So with that being said, this is the Cool Club. Hit that like and subscribe button. Check me out on the next one. I'm gone.